The house at 917 Willow Drive never appeared on any list of dangerous places. It was not abandoned, it was not isolated, it was not hidden. It stood in plain sight, a modest single-story home built in the late 1970s, with white siding that had yellowed with age and a narrow driveway that ended at a small detached garage. The lawn was trimmed, the mailbox stood upright. The porch light worked, nothing about the property suggested violence. And yet, investigators would later come to believe that this house did not merely witness a crime. It contained one for nearly 2 decades. In the summer of 2003, Brookdale Heights was considered one of the safest neighborhoods in the county. Police calls were infrequent. When officers responded, it was usually for noise complaints or minor disputes. Serious crime was rare enough to be memorable. That is why June 14th remains fixed in the memory of those who lived there. At 6:42 a.m., emergency dispatch received a call from a woman named Laura Mitchell. Her voice was controlled, but strained. She told the operator that her younger sister, Emily Carter, had not arrived at work and was not answering her phone. Emily was 29 years old. She worked as an administrative coordinator for a medical supply company. She lived alone at 917 Willow Drive. Laura explained that Emily followed routines rigidly. She left for work at the same time every morning. She called every evening. She had never disappeared before. Police were dispatched to the residence. When officers arrived, they noticed the front door was unlocked. This detail would later become critical. Inside, the house appeared untouched. The couch cushions were aligned. A coffee mug sat rinsed in the sink. Emily's purse rested on the kitchen counter, positioned neatly beside a stack of unopened mail. Her wallet was inside. Her driver's license, credit cards, cash, everything someone would take if they planned to leave was still there. Outside, Emily's car sat in the driveway, parked straight between the lines. There were no signs of forced entry. No broken locks, no shattered glass, no visible blood. The responding officers conducted a basic walkthrough. They checked closets, the bathroom, the backyard. They knocked on neighboring doors. No one had seen anything unusual. Within 2 days, the case was categorized as a possible voluntary disappearance. That decision would shape everything that followed. Emily's family objected immediately. They told investigators Emily had no history of depression, no secret relationships, no plans to leave town. She had been saving for a new car. She had recently renewed her lease. But without physical evidence of a crime, investigators believed there was little they could do. Days passed, then weeks. Emily's phone never reactivated. Her bank accounts remained untouched. There were no travel records, no surveillance footage, no confirmed sightings. By mid-July, the case lost momentum. By the end of summer, it was quietly deprioritized. The house at 917 Willow Drive was returned to the family, and the silence began. For the next 17 years, Emily Carter existed only as a missing person entry in an outdated database. Her sister continued calling detectives. She mailed letters. She requested reviews. Nothing changed. Brookdale Heights moved forward. The house did too. Renters occupied it briefly. One family stayed for 3 years. Another left after 6 months, citing nothing more than bad vibes. No police reports were filed. No inspections uncovered anything unusual. Until October of 2020, that month, the property was purchased by a couple in their early 30s. They planned a full renovation before moving in. New flooring, new walls, updated electrical wiring. During demolition of a hallway wall, a contractor noticed irregular framing. The drywall thickness changed abruptly. Stud placement was inconsistent with the rest of the house. Curiosity turned into concern. They removed the panel. Behind it was a sealed crawl space, not a standard utility access. Not storage, a deliberate compartment. Inside, they found folded women's clothing, blouses, jeans, undergarments, arranged carefully. Beneath the clothing was a handbag. The zipper still worked. Inside the bag was a driver's license. The name read, Emily Carter. Police were notified immediately. This time, the house was treated as a crime scene. Forensic teams sealed the property and began a comprehensive search. The crawl space showed clear signs of intentional modification. Air vents had been blocked with insulation and adhesive foam. Sound-dampening material lined the interior walls. Chemical residue was detected across the surfaces. Strong cleaning agents, repeated use, luminol testing revealed faint blood traces. Not splatter patterns associated with violence, but smears, areas wiped over and over again. The patterns suggested prolonged contact rather than a single event. Investigators began to reconsider everything. Emily had not vanished, she had been concealed. The focus shifted to people who had access to the house. In 2003, one name surfaced almost immediately. Mark Reynolds. Reynolds lived next door to Emily at the time of her disappearance. He was 46 years old in 2003, divorced, no children. Neighbors described him as quiet, polite, and helpful. He fixed fences, offered to mow lawns. He was known to keep his garage locked at all times. Reynolds had been interviewed once during the original investigation. Briefly, he told police he hadn't seen Emily in weeks. The statement was accepted. In 2021, it was re-examined. Employment records showed Reynolds had taken unpaid leave during the exact week Emily disappeared. That information had never been logged in the original case file. Even more troubling were purchase records recovered from a local hardware store. 2 days after Emily was last seen, Reynolds bought large quantities of industrial cleaning chemicals, heavy-duty trash bags, and replacement flooring panels. The receipts were time-stamped. They had never been reviewed. When investigators attempted to locate Reynolds, they discovered he had died in 2016, heart failure. No autopsy. The primary suspect was no longer alive. But the house still held answers. During a deeper excavation beneath the living room floor, investigators noticed that sections of the subflooring had been replaced unevenly. The materials did not match the rest of the structure. Beneath them was soil that did not belong. Excavation began. At approximately 3 feet down, forensic teams uncovered bone fragments, small, fragmented. Laboratory testing confirmed they belonged to a female between 25 and 35 years old. DNA matched Emily Carter, but the remains were incomplete. Significant portions were missing, which raised an unsettling question. Why bury only part of a body? Why leave some remains beneath the house and remove the rest? Investigators began to theorize that Emily may not have been killed immediately. The sealed crawl space, the preserved belongings, the repeated cleaning. It suggested containment, possibly for weeks, possibly longer. Neighbors were re-interviewed with new context. Several recalled hearing strange noises in the summer of 2003, not screams, but movement, thudding sounds late at night. Furniture being dragged. One neighbor remembered seeing Emily enter Reynolds' house days before she vanished. He assumed they were friends. That detail never appeared in the original reports. A former detective later admitted the department had been under pressure at the time. Brookdale Heights valued its reputation. A prolonged investigation threatened property values and public confidence. The case had been rushed. By 2022, prosecutors announced the investigation would remain open but inactive. Without a living suspect, charges could not be filed. The house was condemned. Today, 917 Willow Drive stands empty. The windows are boarded. The fence leans inward. The yard has grown wild. Neighbors cross the street when walking past it. Some say the silence around the house feels deliberate, as if it learned how to keep secrets. Because some crimes do not end when the victim disappears. They end when the truth is fully uncovered. And in Brookdale Heights, that truth may still be buried.